On April 17th, a new moon activates two cycles for Iran that last coincided with the most pivotal moments in this country's history. One of them in 2013 unexpectedly ended in a nuclear agreement, the other in 2002 in the exposure of a secret nuclear program that changed the entire Middle East. And both of them activate their strongest influence starting April 10th, 4 days from now. The April 17th new moon delivers its strongest influence between April 10th and May 17th, 2026. The first configuration brings Iran back into the cycles of 2002 and 2013-2014. In 2002, it was during this exact cycle that the world learned about secret centrifuges and Natanz. Until that moment, the hidden nuclear program existed, but was never publicly acknowledged. One document leak and the entire world order began to shift. In 2013, during this same cycle, open threats of preemptive strikes were being made from multiple directions, and it was precisely then that the first nuclear agreement in 34 years was signed. This configuration has always pushed the nuclear issue to a fundamentally new public threshold, not necessarily escalation, sometimes an unexpected agreement, but always a move that completely changed the picture. And now it's activating again. What does this mean concretely today? Iranian parliamentarians are already discussing withdrawal from the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. The IAEA is warning about risks at nuclear facilities. And here's what's important to understand. The Iranian side itself acknowledged that several military units are operating without centralized command, following old instructions. And as of this morning, Trump himself said there is a good chance of a deal today, while simultaneously threatening to blow up power plants tonight. That's exactly the kind of pressure the cycle generates. Maximum tension and maximum possibility of a sudden shift at the same time. This cycle says that the nuclear issue will surface in a new form starting April 10th. And this directly affects every American. Before this war began, approximately 130 ships passed through the Strait of Hormuz every single day. Right now, 6 or fewer. The Strait of Hormuz is the narrowest throat through which nearly 20% of the world's oil passes. Any movement on the nuclear file in this region immediately reflects in energy prices here in the US. On the question of large-scale nuclear catastrophe, those astrological configurations do exist, but not in this period. Future cycles are more significant in that regard. That's a separate video with specific dates that's already in works. The second thing this configuration brings a fracture within the system. In 2002, an influential religious figure resigned and published an open letter about problems at the top of the country's leadership. Authorities tried to suppress it, which only amplified public interest. In 2013, a complete shift in political direction occurred. New leadership, new cabinet, new rhetoric. That shift has already happened in March 2026. A new leader came to power, but the pattern of the cycle speaks not only to a change of faces, but to the fact that holding the system together becomes increasingly difficult when centralized command is weakened. In this configuration, what cannot be held surfaces, although the Iranian government may change again, starting April 10th. And the last thing the first configuration brings, natural and man-made events as an additional layer of pressure on already strained infrastructure. In June 2014, during this same cycle, an extreme dust storm hit Tehran, wind speeds of 120 kilometers per hour. In 2002, a powerful earthquake affected several provinces. When infrastructure is already being struck by military operations, an additional natural event creates an entirely different level of crisis. This is the third layer of pressure this cycle adds on top of everything that's already happening. Now, the second configuration. It last activated in 2007 and in 1988, 1989, both times when Iran was under maximum internal pressure. And it speaks to economic and resource availability. In 2007, during this cycle, Iran introduced a fuel rationing system, 100 liters per month per person. One of the world's largest oil producing nations couldn't supply its own citizens with energy resources. This triggered serious civil unrest. In 1988-1989, during this same cycle, a parallel currency exchange rate was legalized. A significant gap emerged between the official rate and the market rate, and it was precisely then that the Iranian dual price system was born, one that exists to this day. And here's what this means right now. Iran is not just under military pressure, it's under economic collapse from two directions simultaneously. The conflict on one side and this planetary cycle, which also harmed the economy, on the other. Steel plants offline, industrial production suspended, a currency that was already under pressure before the war began. This configuration historically points to a moment when a country's economic foundation visibly cracks, not just for governments and markets to see, but for ordinary people on the street to feel. And when an economy this size cracks under this kind of combined pressure, the effects don't stay inside Iran's borders. They move through oil markets, through supply chains, through what you pay at the pump. So let's bring it together. From April 10th through May 17th, two configurations are active over Iran simultaneously. The first, the nuclear file reaching a new threshold, loss of centralized control within the system, and natural events as additional stress on infrastructure. The second, economic pressure and resource availability with direct impact on global markets. Today is the deadline. Whatever happens tonight, the cycle that activates on April 10th says this story is not over. It enters a new phase, and that phase runs through May 17th.